Within the grand architecture of universal law, there exists a principle so fundamental and so potent that its mastery can transform the very foundation of your existence. This is the creative power of the spoken word, a law as precise and unwavering as gravity itself, yet infinitely more personal in its application to your daily life. When you truly comprehend this principle, you discover that you have been wielding the same creative force that spoke worlds into existence, though perhaps unconsciously and without the magnificent results that conscious application brings. Your words are not mere sounds that dissipate into the atmosphere. They are living entities, charged with creative energy, carrying within them the power to reshape your entire world. Every syllable you utter sets in motion a chain of spiritual and psychological events that must eventually manifest in your physical experience. This is why ancient wisdom teaches that life and death are in the power of the tongue, for, through your spoken declarations, you are constantly choosing which reality you will inhabit. Consider the magnificent process by which the universe itself came into being. Before form existed, before matter took shape, there was the Word. Through divine speech, the formless void was transformed into a cosmos of infinite beauty and complexity. The identical creative principle that brought stars into existence and set planets spinning in their orbits operates through your voice today. When you speak with absolute faith and conviction, you are not merely expressing an opinion or sharing a hope, you are wielding the very same creative force that brought all things into manifestation. The mechanism operates on multiple levels simultaneously. On the physical plane, your spoken words create vibrations that ripple through the atmosphere, affecting not only your own nervous system but the molecular structure of your environment. These vibrations carry information, intention, and energy that interact with the invisible field of infinite possibility. Like a tuning fork that causes other instruments to resonate at the same frequency, your words broadcast a signal that attracts corresponding experiences into your life. More profoundly, your words serve as the architect's blueprints for your subconscious mind, which acts as the master builder of your experience. The subconscious mind is like a faithful servant who never questions the orders given, but works tirelessly to fulfill every command impressed upon it with sufficient emotion and repetition. When you declare, "God is supply," with genuine conviction, you are literally rewriting the software of your deeper mind, replacing programs of limitation with patterns of prosperity. This reprogrammed consciousness then labors around the clock, orchestrating circumstances, attracting opportunities, and magnetizing resources to make your spoken words manifest in tangible form. The quality that transforms mere words into spiritual commands is faith. Without faith, your words carry little creative power. They become empty sounds that dissipate without effect. But when your words are backed by unshakable belief, they become irresistible forces that the universe must obey. Faith is the substance that gives form to your spoken desires, the catalyst that transforms invisible possibility into tangible reality. Think of yourself as the captain of a great ship. When you give an order with complete authority and expectation of obedience, the crew responds immediately and efficiently. Your conscious mind is the captain, your subconscious mind is the crew, and your life circumstances are the ship that responds to your commands. If you speak with uncertainty, doubt, or fear, you are like a captain who contradicts his own orders, creating confusion and delay. But when you speak with the absolute conviction that comes from recognizing your divine authority, your entire being aligns to make your words manifest, swiftly and completely. This is why the three-word formula, "God is supply," possesses such tremendous power. These are not words of pleading or hoping, but words of absolute spiritual authority. When spoken with complete faith, they command the infinite source to release its abundance into your experience. They are words of recognition, acknowledging what already exists in the realm of divine possibility and calling it forth into physical manifestation. Your subconscious mind has been programmed over years through repeated exposure to thoughts and words of limitation. Society, family, personal experiences, and cultural conditioning have created deep grooves in your consciousness that automatically produce experiences of lack, struggle, and delay. The consistent, faith-filled repetition of spiritual truth acts as a powerful counter-programming, gradually eroding these destructive patterns and replacing them with life-affirming ones. Each time you declare your formula with conviction, you are not only sending a command to the universe, but also implanting a seed of truth within your own consciousness. Like water that eventually wears away the hardest stone through persistent contact, your repeated declarations gradually dissolve the barriers of limitation that have been constructed in your mind over decades of negative conditioning. The first utterance marks the path, the second clears the brush, the third rolls away the stones, and soon a highway appears where there was once only wilderness, allowing the caravans of supply to travel with ease to your door. The critical distinction that determines the effectiveness of your words lies in understanding the difference between declaring and wishing. A wish is often tinged with doubt, carrying the subtle implication that the desired outcome may or may not materialize. It operates from a consciousness of lack, focusing on what is absent rather than what is available. A declaration, especially one grounded in spiritual truth, is an affirmation of what already exists in the invisible realm, awaiting its manifestation in the visible world. When you declare, "God is supply," you are not expressing a hope for future provision. You are stating an eternal truth about the nature of the universe and your relationship to its infinite resources. The word is perhaps the most powerful word in the formula because it speaks of present reality, not future possibility. It bypasses the wavering doubt of the logical mind and impresses directly upon the subconscious, the unshakable reality of your divine provision existing now, in this very moment. The universe operates according to perfect timing, and your declarations achieve maximum power when synchronized with the natural rhythms of consciousness. Morning declarations are particularly potent because your mind is fresh, unburdened by the day's challenges, and most receptive to impressing new truths upon your subconscious. At midday, when busyness threatens to scatter your attention, a strong, brief declaration calls your good back to attention. At night, when the gateway of the subconscious is naturally more open, your final word of certainty programs your deeper mind to labor on your behalf while you sleep. The emotional charge behind your words amplifies their creative power exponentially. Words spoken with passion, enthusiasm, and deep feeling penetrate far deeper into consciousness than those uttered mechanically or without conviction. When you declare, "God is supply," with such intensity that every cell in your body vibrates with the truth of these words, you create an irresistible magnetic field that draws abundance to you like iron filings to a powerful magnet. Understanding the creative power of your words places upon you a profound responsibility. Every careless utterance, every negative pronouncement, every complaint carries the same creative energy as words of blessing and abundance. Many individuals unconsciously architect their own limitations and misfortunes through habitual negative speech. They declare their illnesses, proclaim their financial struggles, announce their relationship problems, and then wonder why these conditions persist and multiply. Your mouth becomes the gatekeeper of your experience. When your lips murmur, "I can't afford it," you slam shut the gates of supply. When you proclaim, "All that is mine by divine right appears now," you fling wide the doors of abundance. Guard this gateway as you would guard precious treasure, for you are literally speaking your life into existence with every word you utter. As you begin to apply this principle consciously, you may encounter resistance from your own conditioned mind. Years of programming do not surrender without a struggle. When doubt whispers, "This is too simple to work," or fear suggests, "You don't deserve abundance," meet these challenges with renewed declarations of truth. Your consistency will tire the skeptic within and starve the one. Fear. Faith is not a storm that comes and goes, it is a steady sun that dissolves the fog because it refuses to be extinguished. Do not wait for perfect feeling to begin speaking perfect words. Feeling follows focus, not the reverse. Begin with the declaration, and your heart will awaken to match it. The ember becomes a flame as you breathe upon it with repeated affirmations. Each declaration is a breath that fans the fire of faith until it becomes an unquenchable blaze that illuminates and transforms your entire life. Consider the businesswoman whose enterprise was failing. Bills mounted like storm clouds, customers vanished like morning mist, and fear gripped her heart with icy fingers. Then she discovered this mighty truth. Instead of rehearsing her problems and magnifying her difficulties, she began each day declaring, "God is supply." She spoke these words over her empty cash register, over unpaid invoices, over every challenge that arose. She replaced the poverty password, "I can't afford it," with the royal command, "Divine supply flows to me now." Within weeks, new customers began appearing as if summoned by an invisible force. Long-delayed payments arrived unexpectedly. Fresh opportunities presented themselves with perfect timing. She had ceased operating from the consciousness of lack and begun functioning from the consciousness of infinite supply. To harness the full creative power of the spoken word, weave your declarations into the fabric of your daily existence. Bless your wallet as you open it, declaring it a channel of infinite supply. Speak abundance over your work, naming it a joyful service that brings rich compensation. Transform every financial transaction into a spiritual affirmation. When writing checks, instead of feeling depleted, declare, "God is supply," and know that what flows out returns, multiplied according to the perfect law of circulation. Sanctify the tools of your trade with your word. The merchant blesses the cash register, calling it a cornucopia of endless flow. The artist blesses the canvas, naming it a doorway through which inspiration and prosperity enter. The professional blesses every email and contract, declaring that each communication carries clarity, favor, and right compensation. In this way, your entire life becomes a temple, where the creative power of the spoken word is consciously employed for the highest good. Stands as your divine inheritance, a sacred trust, and a practical tool for shaping your destiny. It is the means by which you align yourself with the infinite source of all good and draw forth from the invisible realm of pure potential into the visible world of tangible experience. By consciously choosing your words, speaking with unwavering faith, and consistently affirming the truth of your divine provision, you effectively command the floodgates of abundance to open, allowing the boundless riches of the universe to flow freely into every area of your life. The second pillar of NNSDC, prosperity consciousness, rests upon a truth so magnificent that when fully grasped, it dissolves every fear of lack and transforms your entire relationship with abundance. This truth is the present tense reality of infinite supply. You do not live in a universe of scarcity where good must be earned, deserved, or competed for. You dwell within an inexhaustible ocean of divine substance that exists now, complete and perfect, awaiting only your recognition and acceptance. The third foundation stone of abundant living reveals that your true source of supply is not found in any human channel, but flows directly from the infinite wellspring of divine providence. Your employer, your investments, your business ventures are merely the temporary vessels through which your good reaches you, but they are never the source itself. When you understand this distinction, you cease to worry about economic conditions, job security, or market fluctuations, for you know that your supply comes from a source that knows no recession, no shortage, no limitation of any kind. The fourth principle illuminates how faith acts as the universal solvent, dissolving every obstacle that appears to stand between you and your abundant good. Fear, doubt, worry, and negative expectation are not merely uncomfortable emotions, they are actual barriers that block the flow of your supply. When you align your consciousness with divine truth through unwavering faith, these barriers dissolve like mist before the morning sun, and your good flows to you with the inevitability of water finding its level. The fifth and final keynote reveals the magnetic power of preparation combined with joyful expectancy. When you prepare for your good as if it were already on its way, when you make room in your life for the abundance you are claiming, when you act with the confident expectation of one who knows that divine law is operating on their behalf, you create an irresistible attraction that draws your desires into swift manifestation. This preparation is not mere positive thinking. It is the practical expression of your faith, the physical demonstration of your inner conviction that your good is certain to appear. There exists a truth so magnificent and revolutionary that when fully comprehended and embraced, it dissolves every fear of lack and transforms your entire relationship with abundance. This is the present tense reality of infinite supply, the recognition that your perfect provision does not await you in some distant future, but exists now, complete and available, in the invisible realm of infinite possibility. This principle stands as the cornerstone of all true prosperity consciousness, for it declares that abundance is not something you must create, earn, or struggle to obtain, but something you must simply recognize and accept as your present reality. Behind the visible world of form and circumstance lies an invisible realm of pure potential where all possibilities exist, simultaneously, in perfect completion. Think of this invisible realm as an infinite warehouse containing every conceivable form of good, perfect health, loving relationships, creative inspiration, joyful opportunities, and unlimited financial resources. In this spiritual dimension, there is no scarcity, no competition, no shortage of any kind. Every desire of your heart already exists there in perfect form, awaiting only your recognition and acceptance to manifest in your physical experience. This invisible realm is not some distant, mystical place accessible only to the spiritually advanced. It is the realm of pure consciousness, of divine intelligence, of spiritual law as close to you as your own thoughts, and as real as the air you breathe. It is the fertile ground from which all physical manifestation springs, the source from which every good thing in your life has emerged and will continue to emerge. When you declare God is supply, you are not requesting that abundance be created for you. You are acknowledging what already exists in this invisible storehouse and claiming your divine right to receive it. The most powerful word in this three-word formula is, not will be or might become, but is, a declaration of present, absolute reality. This single word bypasses the doubting logical mind that analyzes circumstances and calculates probabilities, speaking directly to the subconscious and the universal law, impressing upon both the unshakable truth of immediate abundance. It declares that your supply exists now, in the eternal present where all of life actually occurs, complete and perfect and waiting for your recognition. Most individuals live under the crushing weight of future tense thinking about their prosperity. They hope they will have enough, work toward the day when they might be wealthy, save for a time when abundance may come. This future-oriented consciousness, however well-intentioned, actually pushes abundance away by implying that it does not exist now. When you declare, I will be prosperous, or I am going to have money, you are unconsciously affirming that prosperity and money are absent from your present experience. The universe, which operates only in the eternal now, responds to this present moment declaration of lack by continuing to provide experiences that match your current consciousness of not having. If you constantly affirm, I want more money, the universe hears, I am wanting money, and continues to provide you with the experience of wanting. But when you declare, God is supply, you are stating that abundance is already present in your experience. And the universe has no choice but to bring forth physical manifestation that matches this inner declaration. Consider the profound difference between the consciousness of seeking and the consciousness of having. The seeker is always looking, always searching, always lacking what they seek. Their very seeking affirms the absence of what they desire, creating a perpetual state of wanting that can never be satisfied. But the one who has lives in a completely different mental universe, they think thoughts of gratitude for what is theirs. They speak words of appreciation for their abundance. They make decisions from a position of plenty rather than scarcity. This consciousness of having creates the very magnetic conditions necessary for physical manifestation. One of the greatest barriers to understanding this principle is the human concept of linear time. In physical experience, events appear to unfold sequentially. First you plant, then you water, then you harvest. This creates the illusion that manifestation must also follow this pattern. That you must first struggle, then work, then eventually receive your reward. But spiritual law operates outside the constraints of linear time. In the realm of infinite supply, cause and effect are simultaneous. The moment you align your consciousness with abundance, that abundance begins its journey into manifestation, regardless of current appearances. The divine source is not a being that creates in stages, providing for yesterday, today, and tomorrow, the next day. It is an omnipresent intelligence that encompasses all time and space within its eternal now. Therefore, your perfect health, your ideal relationships, your financial freedom, your creative expression, all these exist now, fully formed, in the divine blueprint of your life. The challenge lies not in creating these things, but in bringing your consciousness into alignment with their present tense reality. This understanding transforms your entire approach from one of striving to one of receiving. Instead of feeling that you must labor endlessly to acquire what you lack, you begin to live from the knowing that what you need is already provided. Your role becomes one of clear recognition, unwavering faith, and opening yourself to receive what is already yours by divine right. The practical application of this principle involves what might be called living from the end, conducting yourself as if your desired good has already manifested. This is not pretending or acting as if, but genuinely aligning your consciousness with the reality that already exists in the invisible realm. When you live from the end, you naturally think the thoughts, speak the words, and take the actions that flow from having what you desire. The woman who desires a beautiful home begins to live in the consciousness of already having it. She decorates her current space with the same care she would give to her dream home. She speaks of her coming home with certainty and gratitude, not hope and longing. She makes room in her life for the larger space, perhaps by clearing out possessions she no longer needs. She researches neighborhoods with the confidence of one who knows her perfect home is being prepared for her. This consciousness of already having creates an irresistible magnetism that draws the physical home into her experience. Similarly, the artist who desires recognition for her work begins living from the consciousness of already being a successful artist. She creates with the confidence of one whose work is valued and sought after. She prices her pieces appropriately, not from desperation but from recognition of their worth. She speaks of her art career with certainty and enthusiasm. She prepares her studio to handle increased demand. She networks with other successful artists as a peer, not as an aspiring wannabe. This consciousness of already being successful creates the magnetic field that attracts recognition, sales, and opportunities with remarkable speed. A profound shift occurs when you recognize that infinite supply flows through external channels but never originates from them. Your job is not your source, it is merely one pipe through which your supply flows. Your business is not your source, it is simply a channel the universe uses to deliver your good. Your investments, your family, your government benefits, all are temporary vessels through which abundance reaches you, but they are never the source itself. This understanding liberates you from the anxiety that comes from believing external sources are your security. The economy may fluctuate, companies may downsize, investments may lose value, relationships may change. When you believe these external channels are your source, you live in constant fear of their disappearance. But when you understand that they are merely channels, while the true source remains infinite and inexhaustible, you cease to cling desperately to any particular avenue of supply. If one channel closes, you remain confident because you know the source remains unlimited and will open new channels as needed. If your current income stream faces challenges, you do not panic because you recognize that infinite supply can flow through countless other avenues. Your security rests not in any particular form of income, but in your unshakable connection to the source of all income. This is the freedom that comes from recognizing the divine source as unfailing provider. The greatest challenge in applying this principle comes from the hypnotic power of current appearances. When your bank account shows insufficient funds, when bills exceed income, when opportunities seem scarce, the physical senses scream that abundance is absent. These appearances, however compelling, are merely the delayed reflection of past consciousness. They show you what you have been thinking and believing, not what is possible for you now. The master of manifestation learns to see beyond appearances to the invisible reality that is always more true than what meets the eye. They understand that appearances are effects, not causes, and that by changing consciousness, they change the cause and therefore must eventually change the effects. When fear rises based on outer conditions, they do not wrestle with it but replace it. Immediately with their declaration of truth, God is supply. They speak this not as hope but as recognition of what is, regardless of what appears to be. This requires tremendous faith, dissolves all barriers to good, for appearances often seem to contradict spiritual truth for a period of time. But faith is not moved by appearances, it stands firm on spiritual law, knowing that what is true in the invisible realm must eventually manifest in the visible world. To cultivate the present tense reality of infinite supply, establish sacred practices that consistently align your consciousness with this truth. Begin each morning before your feet touch the floor by declaring with conviction, God is supply. My perfect provision exists now. All that is mine, by divine right, appears now. Feel the truth of these words resonating through every cell of your body, surrounding you with the golden light of infinite abundance. Throughout your day, perform what might be called sacred interruptions, moments when you pause, whatever you are doing to reconnect with this truth. Whether you are paying bills, checking your bank balance, or facing any financial decision, silently declare your formula and know that you are connected to unlimited supply. Transform every financial transaction into a spiritual affirmation. When writing a check, instead of feeling depleted, declare, God is supply, and know that what flows out returns multiplied according to the perfect law of circulation. Practice the consciousness of present tense gratitude. You are not waiting to be grateful when your good arrives, you are grateful now because you know it already exists. This gratitude acts as a powerful magnet, drawing more good into your experience. It is recognition of the inherent generosity of the universe, acknowledgement that you are already blessed, already whole, already complete. Consider the dressmaker who had long possessed exceptional talent, yet found herself short of orders. For years, she carried the habit of pushing prosperity into the future, saying, "Next season will be better," or "Business will pick up soon." Her words locked her supply in some distant tomorrow, and it dutifully waited there, never manifesting in her present experience. When she learned to affirm, "My perfect customers appear now, my work is beautifully compensated now," her schedule filled within days. The orders had been hovering in the invisible realm, awaiting permission to enter the present. That permission was granted by her present tense word of recognition. Or witness the businessman whose enterprise was failing, bills mounting like storm clouds while customers vanished like morning mist. Fear gripped his heart until he discovered this mighty truth. Instead of rehearsing his problems and magnifying his difficulties, he began each day declaring, "God is supply," over his empty cash register, over unpaid invoices, over every challenge that arose. He replaced the poverty, password. I can't afford it with the royal command. Divine supply flows to me now. Within weeks, new customers began appearing as if summoned by an invisible force. Long-delayed payments arrived unexpectedly. Fresh opportunities presented themselves with perfect timing. He had ceased operating from the consciousness of lack and begun functioning from the consciousness of infinite supply. The present tense reality of infinite supply works in perfect harmony with the other great principles of prosperity. The creative power of spoken word operates through your declarations, transforming invisible potential into visible experience through the vibratory power of your voice, backed by unwavering faith. When you speak, God is supply with absolute conviction, you are wielding the same creative force that brought worlds into existence. Your recognition of abundance as a present reality naturally leads to preparation and expectancy magnetize results. When you truly know your good exists, now, you naturally prepare for its manifestation. You clear space in your life for the abundance you are claiming. You act with the confident expectation of one who knows that divine law is operating on their behalf. This preparation is not desperate, hoping, but the natural courtesy you extend to a guest you know is at the door. The present tense reality of infinite supply stands as the foundation upon which all true prosperity is built. It is the recognition that you do not live in a universe of scarcity where good must be earned, deserved, or competed for, but in an inexhaustible ocean of divine substance that exists now, complete and perfect, awaiting only your recognition and acceptance. When you align your consciousness with this truth, when you speak from this knowing, when you live from this awareness, you discover that abundance is not something you must create, but something you must simply allow. The floodgates open not because you have finally earned your good, but because you have finally recognized that it was always yours, always available, always present in the eternal now, where all true prosperity dwells. The third foundation of true prosperity consciousness reveals a truth so liberating that its complete understanding dissolves every anxiety about security, every fear of economic upheaval, and every concern about external circumstances affecting your well-being. This is the recognition that your true source of supply is not found in any human channel, institution, or earthly system, but flows directly from the infinite wellspring of divine providence that knows no recession, no shortage, no limitation of any kind. When you grasp this truth with your whole being, you cease to be a victim of circumstances and become a master of spiritual law, drawing your supply from a source that is as inexhaustible as the universe itself. Humanity has been conditioned into perhaps the most limiting belief possible, that security comes from external sources. This creates a consciousness of dependency that keeps millions trapped in anxiety, constantly worried about maintaining the favor of their human sources, desperately clinging to jobs they may not enjoy, relationships that no longer serve them, or financial strategies that provide only the illusion of security. You have been taught to believe that your employer is your source, your investments are your source, your family is your source, your government is your source. This is the great illusion that binds you to limitation. Consider the profound difference between the fountain and the cup. The fountain is the source, eternal and inexhaustible. The cup is merely the vessel through which the water reaches your lips. Should one cup break or become unavailable, the fountain continues to flow, ready to fill another vessel. Your job, your business, your investments, your clients, these are the cups, the temporary vessels through which your good reaches you. They are never and can never be the fountain itself. The sun is one. The windows are many. If one shutter closes, the sun has not dimmed. Open another window, and light floods the room with the same brilliance. When you mistake the channel for the source, you become like a child gripping the cup and forgetting the fountain. Your heart clings and trembles with every fluctuation in your external channels. You worry, what if this position ends? What if this client leaves? What if the markets fall? But these fears dissolve the moment you remember that the fountain is unfailing. The source is inexhaustible, and your connection to infinite supply can never be severed. Divine providence is not a distant, capricious deity that randomly bestows favors upon some while withholding them from others. It is the intelligent, loving, creative force that animates the entire universe, the same power that causes flowers to bloom, planets to orbit in perfect harmony, and hearts to beat with precise rhythm. This force is not separate from you, but expresses itself through you, as you, and for you. It is closer than your breath, more intimate than your thoughts, more reliable than the sunrise. This divine source operates according to principles that transcend all human limitation. It knows no economic downturns, no supply chain disruptions, no political upheavals. It is not affected by your age, your education, your background, or your past mistakes. It responds only to your consciousness, your faith, and your recognition of its infinite availability. The infinite is not impoverished nor reluctant. It is seeking ever wider expression of good through you. When you declare God is supply, you are not petitioning an external force to provide for you. You are recognizing the infinite source that is already your true employer, your real banker, your actual provider. One of the most liberating aspects of understanding divine source is recognizing that it can flow through infinite channels. The universe has a 1,000 ways where you can see but one. If one avenue closes, the source immediately begins opening new ones, often channels more wonderful than you could have imagined. This is not wishful thinking but spiritual law, as reliable as gravity itself. Consider the merchant who stood at the end of his resources. Rent was due, shelves were thin, creditors were pressing. He had worshipped the channel, calling his major customer my only hope, and when that customer delayed payment, his courage departed with his confidence. Then he learned to turn from the cup to the fountain. He paused in his shop and spoke aloud with authority. The divine source is my employer, my banker, my partner. God is supply, and my supply appears now, under grace and in perfect ways. He reopened his doors with a transformed consciousness. Before the hour ended, a stranger entered, purchased generously, and referred 2 friends. By evening, a forgotten invoice was paid, and a supplier extended favorable terms. The deep source had never faltered. Only his recognition had wavered. The artist who had depended entirely on a single gallery discovered this principle when the gallery unexpectedly closed. Instead of despair, she recognized that her true source was not the gallery but the infinite creativity that flowed through her work. As she aligned with this truth, declaring, "My divine source opens perfect channels for my art to bless the world and return to me abundantly," new outlets appeared with remarkable speed. Online platforms emerged, private collectors made contact, corporate commissions materialized, and teaching opportunities presented themselves. Her income not only recovered but exceeded previous levels because she was no longer limiting her supply to a single channel. When you truly understand that divine source is your provider, you become immune to the fear-based consciousness that dominates human thinking about money and security. Economic reports no longer determine your mood. Stock market fluctuations do not affect your inner peace. Political changes do not shake your confidence. You remain grateful for all external channels while never forgetting that they are effects, not causes, of your supply. This does not mean becoming irresponsible with practical matters. Rather, you handle all earthly affairs from a position of spiritual strength and clarity. You make wise decisions, not from fear of lack, but from recognition of abundance. You save and invest, not from anxiety about the future, but from joy in stewarding the resources that flow through your life. You work not from desperation to survive, but from the pleasure of expressing your talents and serving others. Never curse a channel, for to curse a channel is to throw stones at the very bridge the source is using to carry your good. Bless those who seem to wrong you by declaring, "I see you free in your highest good, I am free in mine." In blessing, you release resentment, which is rust upon the pipeline of prosperity. When one channel narrows, say immediately, Thank you for the good that has come. I bless you and release you. My larger avenue appears now. A profound transformation occurs when you shift from the consciousness of trying to get what you need to the consciousness of receiving what is already provided. Getting implies effort, struggle, and the possibility of failure. It places you in the position of one who lacks and must acquire. Receiving implies grace, gratitude, and the certainty of provision. It places you in the position of one who is already blessed and need only accept what is offered. The salesperson who operates from receiving consciousness approaches potential clients not as someone who needs their business, but as someone who has something valuable to offer. This confidence and abundance consciousness naturally attracts more success than any desperate technique ever could. The job seeker who knows divine source is arranging the perfect position approaches, interviews with the quiet confidence of one who knows they are exactly where they need to be, creating an impression that opens doors effortlessly. To cultivate the consciousness of divine source as your unfailing provider, establish sacred practices that consistently align your awareness with this truth. Begin each day by consciously connecting with your true source. Before your feet touch the floor, acknowledge that you are not dependent on any human source for your well-being. Declare with conviction, "My source is divine, infinite, and unfailing. All my needs are met from this inexhaustible supply." Throughout your day, practice source recognition. When you receive money from any channel, pause to acknowledge that it comes ultimately from divine source. Thank the human channel, but remember that behind all human giving is the one infinite giver. When you pay bills, recognize that you are circulating divine substance, and it returns multiplied according to spiritual law. Bless your wallet as a cornucopia of endless flow. Bless your invoices as love letters that return with gifts. Bless your workplace as a temple where divine service creates divine compensation. Transform your relationship with work by recognizing that your true employer is not the company that signs your checks, but the divine intelligence that orchestrates all your opportunities. This recognition brings a quality of excellence and integrity to your work that naturally attracts recognition and advancement. You serve not from fear of losing your position, but from joy in expressing your talents and contributing to the greater good. Integration with universal principles, the recognition of divine source as your unfailing provider, works in perfect harmony with the creative power of spoken word. When you declare God is supply with absolute conviction, you are not asking an external source to provide for you. You are recognizing the infinite source that is already operating in your life and commanding it to manifest more abundantly. Your words become powerful because they are backed by recognition of unlimited supply rather than fear of limitation. This understanding naturally aligns with the present tense reality of infinite supply. When you know that divine source is operating now, providing now, blessing now, you cease to push your good into some distant future. You live in the consciousness of already being provided for, already being blessed, already being sustained by infinite love and wisdom. The recognition of divine source creates the perfect foundation for faith dissolves all barriers to good. When you know that your source is unlimited, unfailing, and always available, faith becomes natural rather than forced. You trust, not because you have convinced yourself to believe, but because you have experienced the reliability of divine provision. This faith then dissolves all barriers of fear, doubt, and limitation that might otherwise block your good. Finally, this consciousness naturally leads to preparation and expectancy magnetize results. When you truly know that divine source is arranging your perfect good, you naturally prepare to receive it. You clear space in your life for the abundance that is coming. You act with the confident expectation of one who knows that infinite intelligence is working on their behalf. This preparation and expectancy create an irresistible magnetism that draws your good into swift manifestation. The divine source stands ready to provide for you more abundantly than you have ever imagined possible. It has been your true provider since the moment you drew your first breath, orchestrating countless miracles to sustain and bless you, often in ways so natural you never recognize them as divine intervention. As you align your consciousness with this truth, as you cease depending on external channels while remaining grateful for them, as you recognize that your security lies not in any human source but in your connection to infinite supply, you discover that provision flows to you with the reliability of natural law and the abundance of divine love. Your word becomes your warrant, your faith becomes your fortune, and your recognition of the unfailing provider becomes the key that opens every door to prosperity. Faith is the great solvent of the universe, the invisible heat that melts frozen rivers of limitation and sends them flowing freely toward the sea of infinite abundance. It is the divine acid that dissolves every obstacle, the spiritual fire that burns away every barrier, and the sacred light that renders darkness impossible, not by wrestling with shadows, but by making them unreal in its presence. When you cultivate true faith, clear, steady, and unwavering, you discover that every wall blocking your good is merely crystallized consciousness. Every chain binding your prosperity is only hardened thought, and every locked door preventing your success has been standing ajar all along, waiting for your hand of recognition to push it open. The barriers to your good have never existed outside your own consciousness. They are internal formations composed of fear, doubt, worry, resentment, guilt, impatience, and the accumulated beliefs in scarcity that have been impressed upon your mind through years of conditioning. Like invisible dams across the river of supply, these barriers block the natural flow of abundance, not because they possess inherent power, but because you have believed in their reality and thus lent them your creative energy. Each functions as a crystallized thought pattern that has hardened into what appears to be an immovable obstacle, yet these formations possess no more substance than morning frost, which appears solid but dissolves at the first touch of sunlight. Consider how these barriers form within your consciousness. Perhaps in childhood, you absorbed repeated declarations of limitation. Money doesn't grow on trees, we can't afford that. Rich people are greedy. Each repetition laid another layer of restriction in your subconscious mind. Maybe you experienced financial hardship and concluded that struggle is inevitable, or attempted something and failed, creating a barrier of fear around similar future endeavors. Over time, these individual experiences accumulate into thick walls of resistance that seem to make abundance impossible, success unlikely, and dreams unrealistic. Yet, understanding their formation reveals their essential nature. They are nothing more than thoughts that have been energized by repetition and emotion until they appear real. Faith operates as the universal solvent because it is spiritual recognition rather than mere belief or intellectual assent. True faith is not the desperate hope that something might work out, nor is it positive thinking overlaid upon a foundation of doubt like bright paint covering rust. Faith is the deep knowing, the unshakable conviction, the absolute trust in the perfect operation of divine law that perceives truth beyond appearances. It is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, which means that faith gives form to your desires in the invisible realm, making them real in consciousness before they manifest in the physical world. When you declare God is supply with genuine faith, you are not trying to convince yourself of something you hope might be true. You are recognizing a spiritual fact with the same certainty you would declare that water flows downhill or fire produces heat. This recognition carries tremendous dissolving power because it aligns your consciousness with spiritual law rather than material limitation. The creative power of spoken word operates through this faith-charged declaration, transforming your voice into a spiritual command that the universe must obey. Without faith, your words are merely sounds that dissipate into the atmosphere. With faith, they become living entities that attract corresponding experiences and dissolve every barrier standing in their path. The distinction between faith and positive thinking is crucial to understand. Positive thinking attempts to overlay optimistic thoughts upon a foundation of doubt, creating an internal contradiction that weakens manifestation. It is like trying to build a house on shifting sand. The structure may appear stable temporarily, but lacks the solid foundation necessary for permanent results. Faith, by contrast, is the recognition of spiritual truth that automatically displaces all contrary beliefs. It does not add positive thoughts to negative ones, but replaces limitation consciousness with abundance consciousness entirely. When genuine faith is present, doubt cannot exist in the same mental space any more than darkness can remain when light is turned on. This understanding connects directly to the present tense reality of infinite supply. Faith enables you to see beyond current appearances to the eternal truth that your good already exists, complete and perfect, in the invisible realm of pure potential. Your physical senses may present appearances of lack, an empty bank account, a stagnant business, unpaid bills. But these are merely the delayed reflection of past consciousness. Faith is the capacity to look beyond these temporary illusions and recognize that your perfect provision exists now, awaiting only your acceptance to manifest in your experience. When barriers encounter faith, a precise process of dissolution unfolds that demonstrates the superiority of spiritual law over material limitation. The barrier, being composed of crystallized fear and doubt, cannot withstand the dissolving power of faith any more than ice can resist fire. This transformation occurs through what might be called the two-edged sword of spiritual treatment. First, you deny the appearance its power by declaring this condition has no reality in divine mind. It is dissolved and transmuted now. Then you immediately follow with the affirmation of truth. Divine order, divine love, and divine supply are now active and visible in this situation. Consider the woman who could not collect a substantial sum owed to her business. Years of reminders, legal threats, and emotional energy had yielded nothing but hardened hearts and increased resistance. The more she focused on the injustice, the more solid the barrier became. The more she worried about collection, the more elusive payment appeared. She was trapped in a prison of her own fearful thinking, creating through her consciousness of struggle the very resistance she sought to overcome. When she learned to apply the dissolving power of faith, everything changed. Instead of rehearsing the story of injustice and analyzing the problem, she began declaring with conviction, "There is no obstruction in divine mind. I cast this burden of collection upon the divine within, and I go free to my good. The money that is mine by divine right appears." Now, under grace and in perfect ways, she blessed the debtor, refused to speak negatively of the situation, and maintained her faith regardless of continued delays. Within days, a letter arrived with full payment and a note of apology. The barrier had been her own consciousness of resistance. The solvent was faith applied with persistence and love. Another demonstration involved a businessman whose enterprise faced seemingly insurmountable challenges. Creditors demanded immediate payment, customers had vanished, and every door appeared closed. These were not merely external circumstances, but reflections of internal barriers of fear, doubt, and desperation that had crystallized in his consciousness. The more he analyzed his problems, the more solid they became. The more he sought human solutions, the more elusive they appeared. Then he learned to recognize the divine source as unfailing provider and apply faith as the dissolving agent. Instead of focusing on limitations, he began each day declaring, "God is supply. Every need is met. Every door opens. Every solution appears. I am divinely protected and divinely directed." At first, his logical mind protested, pointing to bank statements and unpaid bills as evidence that his declarations were unrealistic. But he persisted, understanding that faith must be exercised despite appearances, not because of them. As his faith strengthened through repetition and conviction, remarkable changes began occurring. A former customer unexpectedly paid an old debt. A new opportunity presented itself through an unlikely contact. A supplier offered extended terms. What appeared to be miraculous interventions were actually the natural result of barriers dissolving in consciousness. The progressive nature of barrier dissolution requires understanding that while faith dissolves obstacles instantly in consciousness, their manifestation in physical experience may occur gradually. This is not because faith is weak or spiritual law is slow, but because your awareness may need time to adjust to new levels of abundance. Like a person emerging from a dark cave who must gradually acclimate to bright sunlight, your consciousness may need to adjust to the increased flow of good that results from barrier removal. During this adjustment period, persistence in faith becomes crucial. The barriers have been dissolved in consciousness, but their effects may linger briefly in the physical world, like afterimages that remain when you close your eyes after looking at bright light. Each declaration of truth, each moment of unwavering belief, each act of confident expectation accelerates the manifestation process and hastens the complete clearing of all obstacles. This is where faith dissolves all barriers to good, demonstrates its power most dramatically not in the absence of challenges, but in their transformation from obstacles into opportunities for greater demonstration. Resentment stands as one of the most persistent barriers, acting like rust in the pipes of prosperity that blocks the flow of all good things. Many individuals unknowingly sabotage their own abundance by harboring unforgiveness toward those who have wronged them, not understanding that resentment binds them to the very conditions they seek to escape. Faith dissolves this barrier through the recognition that forgiveness is not approval of wrongdoing, but the release of yourself from bondage. When you declare, "I bless you and set you free. I see you in your highest good, and I am free in mine," you cut the invisible cord that has tied your good to delay. Fear presents another common barrier, often disguised as practical concern or realistic assessment. Fear is faith in reverse. It is the unwavering belief that something undesirable will occur, backed by the same creative power that manifests desired outcomes. When fear whispers there is not enough, faith responds with authority. In infinite supply there is only abundance. God is supply, here and now. When fear suggests you cannot succeed, faith declares, "I can do all that is mine to do by divine right, easily and joyfully, under grace." The key is immediate replacement rather than resistance, for what you resist persists, while what you bless dissolves. Doubt operates as a paralyzing force, a wavering energy that prevents desires from crystallizing into form. It is the consciousness that says yes and no simultaneously, creating internal contradiction that confuses the subconscious mind and delays manifestation. Faith dissolves doubt not through argument, but through consistent recognition of spiritual truth. Each time you catch yourself doubting, immediately declare, "I know that God is supply. I trust divine law completely. My good appears now in perfect ways." The collective consciousness of limitation presents a unique challenge to maintaining faith in our modern world. Everywhere you turn, voices proclaim scarcity, announce hardship, and declare that abundance is reserved for the fortunate few. News reports detail economic challenges, conversations focus on what cannot be done, and social media amplifies every fear and worry. This collective negativity creates a thick atmosphere of limitation that can cloud your faith if you are not vigilant in protecting your consciousness. To maintain faith's dissolving power in such an environment requires deliberate spiritual discipline. You must become like a skilled gardener who carefully tends the soil of consciousness, removing every weed of doubt the moment it appears and nurturing every seed of faith with consistent attention. This means choosing your mental diet as carefully as you choose your physical food, consuming only thoughts and words that strengthen your faith while avoiding those that weaken it. Preparation and expectancy magnetize. Results naturally flows from dissolved barriers, for when obstacles are removed through faith, you automatically begin preparing for the good that must come. This preparation is not desperate hoping, but the natural courtesy you extend to abundance you know is approaching. You clear space in your life for the prosperity you are claiming. You act with the confident expectation of one who knows that divine law is operating on their behalf. This combination of inner faith and outer preparation creates an irresistible magnetic force that draws manifestation with remarkable speed. The practical application of faith as barrier dissolver requires establishing sacred practices that consistently strengthen your spiritual recognition while weakening the hold of limitation consciousness. Begin each morning by consciously dissolving any barriers that may have formed overnight through worry or fear. Declare with authority, "Every obstacle dissolves before me. Every pathway clears. Every door opens wide. God is supply, and my perfect good appears now." When faced with any challenge or limitation, immediately apply faith rather than analyzing the problem or seeking human solutions first. See each challenge as an opportunity to demonstrate the superiority of spiritual law over material limitation. Declare, "This appearance of limitation has no power over me. Divine order governs this situation. My perfect solution appears now, under grace and in wonderful ways." Throughout your day, monitor your thoughts for barriers that may be forming. The moment you catch yourself thinking thoughts of lack, limitation, or impossibility, immediately dissolve them with declarations of truth. Do not fight negative thoughts or try to push them away, but simply replace them with their spiritual opposite. Where you perceive scarcity, declare abundance. Where you see obstacles, affirm clear pathways. Where you feel fear, assert faith with unwavering conviction. As you consistently apply faith's dissolving power, you will witness unmistakable evidence of barriers disappearing from your experience. Doors that seemed permanently closed will swing, open effortlessly. People who appeared opposed to your success will become allies and supporters. Opportunities that seemed impossible will present themselves with perfect timing. Money will flow from unexpected sources. Relationships will heal and flourish. These are not coincidences, but the natural result of consciousness freed from limitation through the persistent application of faith as the universal solvent that dissolves every barrier to your abundant good. The final pillar of prosperity consciousness reveals perhaps the most practical yet profoundly mystical principle of abundance manifestation. When inner faith is expressed through outer action, when spiritual conviction translates into tangible preparation, and when unwavering expectancy creates a magnetic field of attraction, you become an irresistible force that draws your desires from the invisible realm of potential into the visible world of experience. This is the law of preparation and expectancy, the understanding that you must make room in your life for the abundance you are claiming. Acting with the confident expectation of one who knows their good is certain to appear. The universe operates according to the law of correspondence, which declares that outer conditions must eventually match inner convictions. When your consciousness is aligned with abundance, but your actions reflect scarcity, you create an internal contradiction that confuses the subconscious mind and delays manifestation. The subconscious, serving as the bridge between invisible thought and visible experience, receives mixed signals and produces mixed results. But when your thoughts, words, and actions all point in the same direction, you create what might be called spiritual coherence, a unified field of energy that magnetizes your desires with tremendous force. This magnetism operates through multiple dimensions simultaneously. On the physical level, your preparatory actions position you to receive and recognize opportunities that might otherwise pass unnoticed. On the psychological level, preparation programs your subconscious mind with the expectation of success rather than the fear of failure. Each preparatory action sends a clear message to your deeper mind that abundance is not only possible but inevitable. On the spiritual level, preparation demonstrates to the universe your readiness to receive, acting as a form of prayer in motion, a declaration of faith that transcends words and enters the realm of demonstrated trust. Preparation is the silent proclamation of faith, the physical expression of your spiritual conviction that transforms you from a passive wisher into an active co-creator with the universe. It is faith made visible, belief translated into behavior, trust demonstrated through tangible action. When you prepare for your good as if it were already on its way, you are not engaging in wishful thinking or empty ritual. You are aligning every aspect of your being with the reality you seek to manifest. Consider the wisdom of the farmer who does not merely declare his desire for a bountiful harvest. He prepares the soil, plants the seed, tends the field, and then awaits the harvest with unshakable certainty that his labor will be rewarded. His preparation is a physical demonstration of his faith. His expectancy is the inner knowing that natural law is dependable and will bring forth the fruit of his efforts. In the spiritual realm, the same principle holds true, though the soil you prepare is often your consciousness, and the seeds are your faith-filled declarations enhanced by the creative power of spoken word. There is a royal courtesy in the realm of spirit. You set a place for your guest before your guest arrives. You make the room, and the room makes the arrival inevitable. You do not wait for the garden to appear and then buy seeds. You purchase the seeds, bless the soil, and the buds cannot help but show themselves. Clean the closet for the broffer, garments of abundance. Open the account for the increase. Order the business cards for the enterprise. Revise the resume for the promotion. Sketch the floor plan for the new shop. Measure the windows for the curtains of your coming home. Each act of preparation is a decree in motion, an embodied affirmation of the present tense reality of infinite supply. Expectancy is far more than optimistic, hoping it is a creative force that shapes reality according to its own nature and acts as the animating spark that transforms preparation from mere busywork into magnetic attraction. It is not anxious hoping, not peering down the road and wringing the hands of the heart. Expectancy is serene assurance, the quiet smile of one who knows the package is en route and does not pace the porch. It is the poised confidence that declares, by divine right, my good appears now, under grace and in perfect ways. When you expect good to come, you automatically position yourself to receive it. Your posture changes, your awareness heightens, your decision-making improves, and your timing becomes impeccable. Expectancy creates what might be called selective attention, causing you to notice opportunities that were always present but previously invisible to your awareness. The salesperson who expects to make sales approaches each prospect with confidence and enthusiasm that naturally attracts positive responses. The job seeker who expects to find the perfect position carries themselves with assurance that impresses interviewers and opens doors. This expectancy must be grounded in spiritual truth, rather than mere wishful thinking to carry maximum magnetic power. When your expectation is based on recognition that your true divine source as unfailing provider never fails, it carries the authority of spiritual law. You expect not because you hope things might work out, but because you know that divine law is operating on your behalf with perfect precision. True preparation flows from what might be called the consciousness of already having, rather than the anxiety of trying to get. This distinction is crucial, for preparation motivated by desperation or fear actually repels the very good it seeks to attract. When you prepare from scarcity consciousness frantically, trying to force outcomes or desperately attempting to control circumstances, you broadcast vibrations of lack that attract more experiences of lacking. The consciousness of already having, by contrast, prepares with the quiet confidence of one who knows their good is certain to appear. This preparation is characterized by joy rather than anxiety, anticipation rather than desperation, gratitude rather than grasping. It is the preparation of a hostess who knows honored guests are coming and delights in making ready for their arrival. She does not prepare from fear that they might not come, but from the joy of knowing they will. Consider the artist who desires recognition for her work, preparing from scarcity consciousness. She might frantically submit to every gallery, desperately network at every event, and anxiously check her email for responses. This energy of desperation actually repels the very recognition she seeks, broadcasting the message that she does not believe in her own worth. But when she prepares from the consciousness of already being a successful artist, everything changes. She organizes her studio with the confidence of one whose work is valued, prices her pieces appropriately from recognition of their worth, and approaches galleries as a peer rather than a supplicant. This consciousness creates the magnetic field that attracts recognition, sales, and opportunities with remarkable speed. Consider the seamstress whose order book lay thin. She had been trained to push prosperity into a future spring, declaring, "Business will pick up." But her future tense kept her present empty. When she learned to prepare and expect, everything transformed. She made a fitting, to schedule for a week not yet filled, purchased thread in the shades of success, arranged her showroom as if a royal appointment were on the calendar. Each morning she declared, "God is supply. My perfect customers appear now." Within days, brides arrived as if sent by a secret messenger, a theater called for costumes, a fashion blogger featured her work. She had created a vacuum, and infinite supply hurried to fill it. A woman once desired a beautiful new wardrobe, but her closet was crammed with old, ill-fitting clothes she rarely wore. She had been declaring for months, "Divine abundance provides me with perfect clothing." But nothing seemed to change. Then she applied the principle of preparation. With a surge of renewed faith, she cleared out her entire closet, giving away everything that did not serve her highest good, leaving generous empty space. Within days, she received an unexpected bonus and found herself drawn to a store having an incredible sale where she purchased an entirely new, perfect wardrobe at a fraction of the anticipated cost. Her physical act of preparation had created the vacuum that divine supply rushed to fill. Preparation and expectancy operate in perfect harmony with the creative power of spoken word. When you declare, "God is supply," while simultaneously preparing for abundance, your words carry the authority of demonstrated faith. The universe responds more readily to declarations backed by corresponding action than to words alone, however sincere they might be. Your spoken word sets the blueprint. Your preparation creates the channel through which that blueprint manifests. This principle naturally flows from understanding the present tense reality of infinite supply. When you truly know that your good exists now in the invisible realm, preparation becomes the natural courtesy you extend to abundance that is already on your way. You prepare not to create your good, but to receive what is already created, not to earn what you lack, but to welcome what is already yours by divine right. The recognition of divine source as unfailing provider gives your preparation its spiritual foundation. You prepare not from anxiety about human sources failing, but from confidence that divine source is orchestrating perfect provision through whatever channels serve your highest good. This removes desperation from your preparation and infuses it with the joy of cooperation with infinite intelligence. Finally, preparation demonstrates that faith dissolves all barriers to good by showing that you have moved beyond the barriers of doubt, fear, and limitation into the realm of confident expectation. Each preparatory action dissolves another layer of uncertainty and builds another degree of magnetic power that draws your desires into swift manifestation. To cultivate this magnetic power, establish sacred practices that align your actions with your spiritual convictions. Begin each day by asking yourself how you can prepare today for the abundance that is coming to you. Then take at least one concrete action that demonstrates your faith in your increasing prosperity. This might involve researching investment opportunities, organizing your financial records, clearing space for new possessions, or developing skills that will serve your expanding good. Your environment should be a prophecy of your good. If you desire clients, prepare your calendar, your invoicing, your welcome processes, your graceful policies. If you desire a new home, begin to pack the non-essentials, obtain measurements of imagined rooms, bless your current dwelling for its faithful service, and expect the next to announce itself in perfect timing. If you desire investment prosperity, set clear accounts, learn the language of stewardship, Bless each dollar as a messenger of good, and expect wise opportunities that align with your ethics and joy. Maintain an attitude of joyful expectancy throughout your day. Expect good news in every phone call, opportunity in every meeting, and abundance in every transaction. This expectancy is not naive optimism, but spiritual recognition that divine law is always working for your highest good. When you live in this consciousness of expectancy, you naturally attract more good than you could ever create through effort alone. Guard against the sabotage of speaking against your own preparations. Do not mock your faith with nervous jokes or call your expectancy unrealistic. Align your words with your work. If fear tries to borrow your tongue, repossess it at once. Replace every doubtful whisper with a regal decree. All that is mine by divine right appears now. I am ready to receive. Readiness is a fragrance. Your good follows the scent. When you live this way, preparing with joy, expecting with poise, you become a standing invitation to abundance. People feel it when they meet you, the open channels, the clear space, the soft welcome, the quiet confidence. Opportunities are living things. They prefer homes where they are wanted and rooms where they fit. Preparation fashions the rooms. Expectancy opens the door. The rest is the beautiful predictability of spiritual law, which cannot fail, for it is the very order by which stars keep their courses, and seeds unfailingly become the harvest you name with your word. There is a holy practicality to this law. The violinist who desires concerts secures accompaniment, prepares programs, rehearses, encores, and expects invitations. The teacher who desires students prepares syllabi, refines materials, books an appropriate room, and expects enrollment. The healer who desires clients prepares intake forms, sanctifies the treatment space, studies with devotion, and expects the bell to ring. Each becomes a tuned instrument. Life cannot resist playing them. You are not trying to convince the universe. You are giving the universe clean, ready channels through which to pour what already is yours. As you consistently apply this principle,